Now it's the right hand wing that had the accident damage. In around there, I've taken some of it out, but I need to actually get it off, clean up the metal and see what other damage there is. There is other rust damage, particularly around the front. So I'm about to take it off. I've got to take this lead loading out here on the seam. Just notice how they didn't let it all the way down, only let it enough to, I assume that's where the bumper bar goes, so you didn't see the crack at the bottom, but I think it really should have been leaded all the way. But anyway, I'll knock that out with a heat torch and then go ahead and try and undo all of these nuts and bolts inside. Some of them are loose. I have no idea why they're loose, as if someone started to take things off, but it doesn't make a lot of sense. But anyway, I'll start and take this off and see how I go in terms of sort of cleaning it up. I'll probably clean it up before I try and straighten it anymore. Anyway, I'll get it off first. That was easy enough to melt out. The thing I wasn't expecting was that there'd be a weld in there. So I'll have to be mindful of that when I put it back together. It's about 30 millimeters up. Obviously to hold the panel tighter when it's being leaded, even though it's bolted behind, but maybe there's a bit of flex and they've put that in to try and tighten it up, or to take any possible flex out of the panel. Anyway, that came out alright. I'll just need to split that weld before I can get the panel off. The wings have now been removed. All that's left is the centre section and the air ducts. Now I need to clean up all the pieces I've taken off, and anyone who's stripped these before would know that there are a lot of individual pieces. I want to be able to get those cleaned up and determine what repairs need to be made. So I'll leave this just sitting here at the moment. I don't need any more pieces lying around on the floor. I've really got an increasing pile here as it is. Some of those I've cleaned up and others I haven't, so I really want to get them all cleaned up. Sugar scoops are down there. I need to drop those in a vinegar bath, and stone guards and so on, all those need to be cleaned up. The inner surface of the bonnet, of course, has got this stone guard or whatever it is. Some of it's remaining there, that's all going to be taken off, and that's on a lot of these pieces down here. So I've got all that to clean up, but another thing that I'm going through at the moment is cleaning up all of the, I'll call it hardware, nuts, bolts, screws and so on. As I've been undoing the wings and pieces, I've actually bagged and tagged the hardware, the screws and things. Most of them have come off. Some of them actually sheared, and some were so badly rusted they weren't worth keeping. But as well as bag and tag, what I've done after that is to drop all these in vinegar and clean off the rust. Now I haven't bothered to go to the extent of getting them pristine, but I've removed the rust, removed the stone guard and so on, and I've got them so they're actually usable. Now I probably don't intend to reuse these when the car is assembled, so there's pieces missing because of damage anyway. I'll probably end up getting a complete new set of this hardware, but in terms of repairing the bonnet, reassembling and fitting, I'll use the old hardware. So I've been progressively doing this. A bag of that goes into a jar of vinegar for a few days, and it cleans all the rust off. And I've also found that I've needed to straighten a lot of the oval washers. Not all of them are bent, but I mean that one's just got a slight bend in it. But some of them have been almost U-shaped, the way they've come off the car. So at this stage I've roughly been through with a hammer and straightened those. Now whether they will end up being bent when they're re-put on, put back on the car or not, I don't know. I would assume they shouldn't, but anyway, so they've been cleaned, straightened and bagged, and it's a progressive thing. I've still got a few more to do. I've got more in jars of vinegar sitting around somewhere. These are the rear braces. I've cleaned those up, bagged them with their screws, so it's important not to lose any of the pieces at this stage. What I've also done is I've been pulling it apart, is actually noting how these nuts and bolts and screws are put in and where they are. So in some parts of the car the positioning of the bolts is a little bit different, so I've noted that where the head of the bolt is and where the nut is on various components, so when it goes back together it'll go back the way it was. So there's those pieces all over the garage floor, although as I clean them up I put them in the clean hardware bucket, so I know that they're done, and I've still got others to do. So it's a long process of cleaning, very messy, but anyway, I'll keep going. There's a lot more to do. It'll be a lot easier if everything's cleaned up, and easier then to go through, repair the bonnet and do some assembly. I've got this outside the workshop to actually use paint stripper on it. It's proving to be rather difficult to get this old red primer, red oxide off. The stripper is actually not loosening the surface up, so what I've been doing on this one is to actually scrape it. Now I'm using an old chisel here just to scrape the top surface, which is then loosening it up enough to put the paint stripper on. But even then it's still leaving a reasonable amount of the red oxide on. I'm fairly confident that will come off, and it'll come off when I put the vinegar wrap around it. So it's just proving to be difficult. The other one cleaned up quite easily. The stripper actually removed most of the undercoat. For some reason this one is just resisting that. So anyway, I'll keep going. Better to do this outside with the paint stripper because it's rather smelly, but so it'll just take a lot longer. This is the right hand wing, which I've just managed to clean up, at least on the outside. It's cleaned up quite nicely. You can see where this has been repaired before. There's a lot of very reasonably deep sanding marks with probably a machine sander where it's scratched the surface. And there's also a lot of small dents still existing on this. A few down on the bottom there. There's this crease in the middle where it's been pushed in. Now I've knocked some of that out when it was on the car. There's a lot more to go. There's another dent there which is quite large. So what I've done at this stage, or what I'm doing at this stage, is trying to clean up the exterior surfaces of the wings. This is the first one I've done. The other one is about to be done. I haven't cleaned up the insides yet. Probably need a heat gun to remove some of the stone chip surface on the inside. I'll do that. I'm not going to spend too much time on the inside, not at this stage. My main aim is to clean the surface up and look for damage, look for areas that need to be replaced. Certainly on the nose, down the bottom there in the flange area, there's areas that are rusted out that will need to be replaced. The rear flange, I've still got to clean that up more. I'll use a bit more vinegar on that to clean that up and get it back to this surface, and then check whether any of that needs to be repaired. So basically it's a massive cleaning exercise, and it's quite a long process to get it all off. What the stripper doesn't get off, I usually find the vinegar will loosen any remaining paint and enable that to be stripped off as well. So anyway, this one is pretty clean on the outside. I just need to get, as I say, a heat gun just to remove some of the inner surface off that, the tar substance, whatever it is. I'll eventually clean that back to bare steel, but as I say, not just yet. I've managed to clean up the outside of the right hand wing with vinegar. What I'm now doing is cleaning up the inside. Now on the or in the guard area there appears to be a tar type substance. I assume it's a stone guard, which has been sprayed straight over undercoat. And on the side nearest the body, it's like a tar substance as well. So I'm not sure whether it was the same coating put on this side as well as that side, but certainly it does have a coating on there. Now, just by the look of it, a little bit of clear surface there. Not sure whether it's undercoat or colour under that. But anyway, I've got to try and get this off. I'll get it off with a heat gun, and then I'll look at clearing this steel back. Now, this is the guard that has the damage. So there's a bit of a crease in here that I've got to get out. Until I get all the muck off, I'm not sure whether I need to get into here as well and remove this this piece. I'm not sure yet. I may have to, which looks as though it's welded in, or at least welded in on these tabs here. Not sure. I won't know till I clean it up. And this is the left-hand wing. I've just been cleaning off the inside. This had stone guard in it, and this had some form of black substance over the top. It is actually colour underneath, so that's the original green, British racing green. The condition of this guard is not too bad in terms of damage anyway. It does have rust, rust in this corner here, and this is a classic way of repairing a rust hole. I suppose the good thing about it is they cut the rust out and then they just jammed a patch of metal underneath, and on the other side then they brazed it, and this is the brazing, and it's not even a full braze. It's got a bit of braze there, a bit there, and this is a gap, and then this is filled with Bonnet. Yeah, beautiful repair job. I wish I could do a job just as good as that. That'll all have to be cut out and redone, of course. The other place where this guard is actually rusted, and it's where the other side is rusted as well, is up in here around the mount. That'll all have to be cut out, probably down to about there. It's a reasonably large section there, and the flange doesn't look too good either. So a bit of work to do on this one, but at least it doesn't have accident damage, or no major damage. There might be a couple of dents somewhere, which I haven't found yet, but its main problem is up in here, and of course on the nose end. So anyway, I've still got to clean this off. I'll probably just use a rough sanding on this, and then finish cleaning all this off with vinegar. As I clean up the panels, I'm actually assessing them for repair, and this was the worst one. The headlight diaphragm, it's rusted all the way along the bottom, so basically all of that bottom flange needs to be replaced, as well as it's eaten into this part of the panel. Now, I did a quick exercise of removing this, just drilling out the spot welds to see how much damage there really is. Apart from that, that's basically all the bottom end of that is gone. Off the dome piece, it's gone all around in here. Now, having removed that, I can see that the panel underneath here is very thin. So basically, if I were to repair this, I'd be replacing all of this bottom end here, everything up into probably here. So it amounts to, and even up into here, it amounts to about 2/3 of the panel would have to be replaced. So I don't mind a challenge, but I've got other rust to repair, so that one I've decided to replace. The other diaphragm, this one here, this is on the left hand side. Once again, the bottom flange the entire length would have to be replaced. It's actually rusted up into here, so it's not just the edge of the flange, it basically requires this section here to be cut out. And apart from that, in this area, which is the area of the bonnet support, basically everything needs to be cut out and replaced from there down. In addition to that, there's rust underneath here, so this would need to be replaced. It's rusted thin there, it's rusted thin up into here. So once again, looking at the total package there, it's about probably 40% of it would have to be replaced. So what I've decided to do, seeing I'm buying the other diaphragm, I'll buy this one as well. So I'm not going to replace that. Oh, sorry, I'm not going to repair that. So that will be a little less repair work to do. I've placed the order for those panels, just waiting for them to arrive. And once I get them, I'll match them up with the originals to make sure that they're a true copy. So these aren't being thrown out at this stage. I know these actually fitted the original bonnet, so I want to make sure that the replacement panels are basically the same. So anyway, I've got to wait a bit for those. There's still a few more panels to remove rust from. I'm still working on the wings. They will require repair. I'm not replacing those, but I've just got to clean them off completely to determine how much of the wings has to be repaired. So a little more cleaning up to do on that, and then I'll mark out the areas that I need to get repairs from, or repair sections from. At this stage I'm thinking of Monocoque Metalworks as the place that I'll go to for the repair sections. My shipment of panels arrived. Just a quick look, it's a perfect match. There's no obvious problems with it, so I'm happy with that. This is once again a Roby panel. The only issue I found with it was a little bit of shipment damage, slightly knocked on this one. I guess you've got to expect that when it comes halfway across the world, so I'm not worried about that. That's easy to fix. But the panel itself is a direct copy of the other one, so I'm very happy with that. So that's the left hand one. Put that down there. The right hand one. Once again, when I line them up, it's an accurate copy. And as with the other panel, there was a little bit of a slide bend in here, which has actually pushed this round piece up a little bit. Once again, easy to fix, so I'm not worried about that. And the other thing was that the little captive bolt here was bent. Actually, both of them are slightly bent, so I'll fix that up as well. Apply a little bit of heat and straighten that up. So very good panels, so that saves a lot of work. So there's no problem with that. I've cleaned up a couple of more panels. Now these are mud shields. Just got them out of the vinegar bath. A little bit of rust damage on the corner here. That's easily repaired. And a little bit around the edges there too, so I'm sure I can repair that. So that's no problem. A little bit of, maybe I'll repair that in there. The metal's a bit thin, so that's quite repairable. And this is the one that goes with the, what's this, the left hand side on the air duct there. Once again, a little bit of rust in the corner there, so I've got to replace that there. But apart from that, this one's quite good. So, all in all, the worst panels on the bonnet were the headlight diaphragms, which I've replaced, the bottom scoop on the front of the bonnet, which I've replaced, and the other panels, I'm confident I can repair those. All the flanges, I can make minor repairs to those, and the wings and centre section, I'll have to acquire some repair sections to get those back in order. So all in all, the stock take is that it's not too bad to actually start repairs on.